Good morning, everybody. I bet you thought I wasn't coming, right? Nah, I I don't know where I was. That moon is in Pisces and it got me like off into some la la land. And all of a sudden I looked down and it said 8 a.m. and I went, oh my gosh, I haven't even connected my camera yet. So, duh. That sort of characterizes what our day is going to be like today, I think, right? Or at least a bit. With the moon in Pisces today, things take on a little bit of a dreamy quality. So let's just have a conversation about everything that's going on. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Mimi. And good morning to you, Suzanne. It's great to see you out there this morning. I was having a moment. I mean, really, I can't even tell you what happened. About 7 minutes ago, I realized, oh yeah, I've got 7 minutes. I don't know what happened in those 7 minutes. Duh, they were gone. I had been sitting here thinking about all the good things that are going on, even in the midst of some very interesting configurations and aspects going on in the sky. Good morning, Veva. It's good to see you out there. And good morning, Michelle, Roseanne. All the gang is almost here. So I love it. So I was just thinking, maybe this is what got me, all carried away in my imagination about how much I was really liking all of these planets being in Capricorn. Knock me down and call me crazy. I'm a Gemini and air sign, and who would have ever thought that I would appreciate the very down-to-earth, goal-oriented energies of Capricorn. However, I am really loving it. Remember yesterday I said the moon was void of course, and at least up until 11:40 in the morning. So funny thing, my phone was noticeably silent. And I was like, wow, okay, so that gives me some time to think about some things. And good morning, Natasha. And to be able to consider what direction I might want to go. And then I had a client and I did my work with the client. And afterwards, I don't know, it was like suddenly I got into a mode of work where I was just able to enact a lot of different goals that I'd had for a long time about my website, about some other work on my YouTube channel. And it was like suddenly I got bit by the spring cleaning bug and I started spring cleaning everything. I found, I think I told you guys a few months back that I found an article that I had written on the Galactic Center on some random website. And I was really surprised by that, but I sort of remember loading it up to a site that shared articles that people had written, only they neglected to put my name on that article. How sweet, right? So I took the article back and I put it up on my website. I mean, these were my channeled words, right? Why should they have access to that? Although I didn't take it away from their site, I just made sure it got put on my site with my byline on it. So that felt good, taking back my power and being able to put it out there into the world. I uploaded it and then I clicked publish. And so that's now published on my website. And then I went, I started this whole section on my website called Traditional Astrology, where I was going to put up articles and teaching materials on the different parts of astrology. I didn't get a chance to finish it. So I went, now's my chance. So I started writing an article on the houses, and that's going up there. And then I thought, I've written umpteen blog posts and articles on Mercury. Why is that not on my website? So it was fantabulous yesterday that step by step I was being able to just sort of see clarity around different things that I needed to do, that at some point I'd had this brainy idea to do and just kind of had it sit on the back burner while other things carried me away. So I think for everybody, that's kind of a theme that we can look at in our lives right now, kind of in the background of empowering ourselves, because this is Capricorn's a sign ruled by Saturn, and we have Saturn and Pluto both in Capricorn. So we are both able to have the discipline and the energy and the drive and ambition to get it done, but also the idea of Pluto that stays the course and transforms and empowers us to do things that we haven't been able to do. So, hi, Mimi. Yes, I look forward to reading it too. I haven't finished writing that one, but it was funny because normally, I probably have the worst writing habits ever, because I'll sit down to write and then I go blank. And then all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, I just am sort of like downloading all this stuff I want to write and it just flows. The problem is when I want to write, it doesn't want to come. And when I'm not even thinking about it, I just start writing and then it all comes. So it's kind of bizarre timing wise, like, it's never in my timing. So then I was thinking about all of us and what are the things that we have left hanging in our lives, right? The things, the projects maybe that you started, like, you really were excited about at one point that got put on the back burner because other things happened. I think for me, a lot of this was happening in the fall. And then, of course, the holidays, 4 of my grandchildren and their birthdays, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then my vacation to Cozumel. So there were so many things that were in between these ideas and now that I think they just got lost. So here they are. So I'm feeling really good about that. And then today is a very interesting day. I think there is a split in the day today, and we can choose what we're going to identify with, let's say. So, and the split goes along the lines of ego on one side and the soul on the other side. So let's talk about the soul, because today is, I also last night came home, posted on YouTube. Oh, okay. So Natasha is saying, YouTube, my website's pretty much done. And I also finished up with some loose ends myself. Wow, that energy, it was great. It is. And I'm still motivated. Like today, for the first time in God knows how long, I don't have one client today. I don't know how that happened. Maybe I subconsciously built that into the day. So today's going to be a day for me to be able to clean up a lot of those loose ends. I love that. But I'm also open to the unexpected and whatever may happen. I think that's the key, right? Is that as soon as we think that we're going to get specific things done, then, something pops up and we don't get it done. So anyway, it is an interesting day today because of this split. Going back to that, we have the sun representing the ego energies, the very powerful personality, and how we force ourselves out into the world or how we empower ourselves in the world. Then we have the moon, which represents the soul. And the theme of the day through the moon is going to be all about forgiveness, release, compassion, and love, like that energy, the very Piscean energies of love. The moon is actually at some point today going to conjunct Neptune. And Neptune is the idea of unconditional love, unconditional love. And it sits there right there for us wherever we are. And it's in Pisces where it's empowered right now because Neptune rules Pisces. So Pisces energy with the moon and Neptune together gives us access to psychic energy or very powerful intuitive energies. Raise your hand if you had a lot of weird dreams last night. Because I know I did. I think I traveled to God knows what dimension, and I came back and I remembered being there, but I don't remember what I was doing there. And it seemed to be, I want to say utopian, but I don't think it was quite utopian. I think it was more in the process of gaining its Aquarian gifts, right? We're moving into that Aquarian age. Maybe I was projected out into the future where things could be seen as moving in a more humanitarian direction. I don't know. There were people in this dream that I didn't know, but yet I knew them. Weird stuff. So I would bet that all of you raised your hand because you're having weird dreams or weird ahas or things like that. Such is the case when the moon moves into Pisces and then begins to interact with Neptune. Mimi says, felt like lots of conversations going on last night in versus dreams. Right. So talking in your dreams, perhaps, conversations. Exactly. I have a sense that was happening for me as well. Couldn't tell you what I was talking about, though. Couldn't tell you. But it doesn't matter. I don't need to know on the conscious level because somewhere my unconscious is engaged in this or my spirit is engaged with this. And in the right time, in the right place, with the right people, it'll be revealed and there's nothing I can do about it in the meantime. But the moon is also doing something else interesting today. It is sextiling. Remember, that is a 60-degree connection between planets. It connotes good energy, right? That the right gifts and skills match up with the right opportunities. And so the moon is in a sextile with Venus and Mars. And isn't that interesting, right? It's almost like the moon is sitting at the midpoint between the two and bringing us some kind of balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And that, can equate to being receptive and being action oriented for us. So, is it any wonder I was able to feel like I was sort of channeling writing yesterday, because that would be in the receiving mode from Venus, while the Mars side is enacting action. So it was kind of a lovely dynamic. It is still a lovely dynamic. Let's look now at the other side, because you can choose also to be on the more egoic side. And I don't mean to say that anything is wrong with that. Please don't mistake what I'm saying. We can either choose to tap into our soul's knowing, or we can tap into our ego's knowing. It is as important to us because we live on a planet where the ego is active. And so the sun today is squaring both Mars and Pluto. That is pretty powerful. It makes me think. This is what it really makes me think of, and it's really kind of a little bit scary. So I have not heard anything outward about the reaction that our 45 is going to take against Syria. And then I went, oh dear, we have a new moon coming up. And strategically, if you're going to bomb or do some sort of military action, the new moon is the opportunity, the window, the portal for that, because you don't have the light of a full moon exposing what you're up to. The sky is darker. And of course, on a more mundane level, it represents a new beginning in some way. Now, I'm really hoping that there's some diplomatic way that we can solve this problem, or something going on in behind the scenes. But I'm afraid with Sun squaring Mars and Pluto, and that the Sun in Aries squaring them from Capricorn, that it's a possibility of a military engagement. And of course, there's only the megalomaniac in our White House that is the only thing that's standing between it is going to be the Congress. And I don't know what's going to happen there. So I don't say this to scare anybody, but the possibility is that is going to be happening this weekend in the gateway of this very powerful new moon. But you and me and everybody here in this country, and indeed on this planet right now, can tap into the soul's themes of forgiveness, release, and compassion, and begin to heal that whole issue before it ever happens. It doesn't have to happen. It is not a foregone conclusion, I would hope. So today I would pray peace. Right? I would be peace. I would be love. I would be compassion. I would be forgiveness. And I would be releasing anything that I have that would match what is going on with the president or with any of the other parties engaged here. And it's a divide, right? There's this divide. Greg Braden would call it a choice point. Right? A choice point where we get to decide, what direction are we going? Are we going to head off with the moon and live from our souls, which are really in the spirit of forgiveness, release, compassion, love, peace, or are we going to go the other path? And I would say there's no right or wrong. There can't be, because it's here in our faces. But for me, I'm going to intend that we work through peace. I never watch the news, should I? Suzanne, if you don't have to watch the news, sweetheart, don't. It would drive you crazy. I don't watch the news because I can't stand listening to what's going on in the details that it's going on. And but I find that I have to know what's going on, because I'm in this position of mediating what's going on with the stars to what's going on here on the planet. So I almost have to, right? I almost have to do it. And I don't watch it in completeness. I do this. I go to my phone and I look at the big stories that are going on, and I go, okay, I might need to read that one. So then I might read that story. But what I don't do is do it ad nauseum. I used to watch through my neighbor's window a long time ago. And every time that television was on, it was on to Fox News or CNBC or one of those other news outlets. And I went, I don't know how you live with a constant diet of that kind of information coming into you. It's just not healthy. And I remember even, in the old days, when it was just television, as soon as my Dad would get home at night, the first thing he did was turn on the news, and we had to watch news for several hours. Luckily, I had homework to do, so I was always in my room or doing something else. So if you don't have to watch the news, why do it? You don't need to. Like I say, I only do it so I can see the difference, what's going on, and bring to you some of the energies that we can expect. This choice point, I'm really enthralled with this idea of choice point. And I got an email yesterday from, I'm not sure if it was one of you guys. No, I don't think it was. It was from another friend of mine. And she said something in the email that really caused me to open my mind a little bit. And, what she was telling me is that she has zero problems manifesting the little things in her life, right? How she might want her day to go. Just those little things like conversations perhaps, or what have you. But when it gets to the big things, like manifesting a car or enough money to pay a bill or a loving relationship, whatever it is, the bigger things, she said she was still having difficulty with that. And it reminded me of something that I wanted to share with you all from the Course in Miracles, my favorite go-to book. Yet literally yesterday, I had this book to my heart after I reread something, and I was just holding it close. I know you guys think I'm a weirdo, but I can't help it. I was like, thank you for bringing this question to me, because it caused me to go back to my book. And Roseanne, you've done that for me before too, where you've mentioned the Course in Miracles, and it's taken me back. This was another person, and what I went to look, I was thinking as I was reading this email, I'm thinking about the order of miracles. And there's a saying in the book that there is no order of difficulty in miracles. Meaning, literally, it doesn't matter if you're trying to manifest $1 million or $5, the universe doesn't hear the difference. The only person that hears a difference is you, in that maybe you have a higher value on the $1 million versus the $5, right? So I thought I would read to you what the Course in Miracles says, because it's profound. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, though, because this is from chapter 1. This is how the book starts, right? Remember last time I read to you from the book, it was the introduction that said, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Okay, that's page 1. Well, page 2 goes right into the meaning of miracles and the principles of miracles. There's 50 of them, I believe. And I would love to read them all to you, but that's just way too long. So if you have a copy of the Course in Miracles, it's page 1, chapter 1. And number 1, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. Wow. Miracles as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which is far beyond evaluation. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. I love it. So, could we create a miracle in which we have a peaceful solution in Syria? Hell yes, right? I remember, and you guys might know her. Her name is Lynne McTaggart, and she's written many books, The Bond, and she was also the first one to write a book about how intention changes the planet. And in fact, God, I want to say it was either in the very early 2000s or maybe it was in the late 1990s. She and a group of people did an experiment where for an entire weekend, she had a group of people meditating and sending love and radiating peace to Washington, D.C., which at the time had the highest level of murders in the country. And they were able to, with their collective energy of sending love and peace to, and their intention, their powerful intention, they dropped the crime rate by 30% in that one weekend. And of course, after they stopped doing that experiment, the crime rates went back up, but never, ever did it go back up to the same level it was at. It was truly a miracle. And Suzanne's saying she remembers that. And I bet there's a lot of you that remember this. Well, I absolutely got to meet Lynne McTaggart one day. I picked her up at the airport because she was coming into town here to do a speaking engagement. And I asked her about that while we were in the car driving back to Mount Vernon. And she told me that it was one of the most profound experiences that she had engaged in her life, and really opened the doorway to a lot of the work that she's done since. Because she really, up until that point, I think she knew that intention was powerful, but that was such a powerful demonstration of it for her. It literally rocked her world. I would like to rock all of our worlds. Let's rock all of our worlds with the power that we have to create miracles in this reality of ours. It can't hurt anything, right? It can't hurt anything. And so let's live with miracles for this day, for this week. Let's just see what we can do. And maybe we don't get to, who knows? I'm not even putting that out there. I'm just going to say that I know that we can change the world with our intentions, because what we're doing is changing our level of love in here, in our hearts. And so literally, it's not that we're changing the outer world, but when you have a group of people with the same intention, and that intention is to bring more love and peace and joy to themselves, it spills out of you and outward to other people, indeed into the world. Now, I don't have the voice that reaches millions like she did. Or hundreds of thousands even. Actually, I don't know how many people I reach out to and hears my voice. And it really doesn't matter to me, the numbers of people. I just know that we're powerful creators, and that if we choose to live our lives with peace, love, and joy, that's what we are going to see reflected back to us. So are you in? Because if you're in, this is a perfect time to do it. Right? Aligning ourselves with this energy of the soul, the theme of the day, with forgiveness first. We always have to forgive. We always have to be able to release. And then we apply compassion and love to ourselves, to our neighbors, to our loved ones, to those people we don't know, and to those people in positions of power and decision-making authority, that they will make the right decisions, right? That's what we are putting out there. Now, we also have, remember I said this idea of the masculine and feminine being in balance, sort of because Venus and Mars are both in a really interesting position. The masculine energy, Mars, is conjunct both Saturn and Pluto, but sextiling Neptune. So right here, we have this idea of those energies of government and military together, but sextiling Neptune, a much more loving and peaceful planet. And Roseanne, I'm so sorry. It's okay because it's recorded, right? So you can always listen to it later, and I'll be putting it up on my YouTube channel, which is in the process of being redone. I didn't realize how awful my YouTube channel was until I looked at it with new eyes yesterday. So I went out and someone is working on it even as we speak. In fact, I think I just got a message telling me it was done. So I'm excited about that. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. So the masculine energy, Mars, or Saturn and Pluto with Mars in a conjunction, all about war and anger and confrontation and assault and military movements and things like that on the one end. Sextiling Neptune is where we can apply loving concepts, where we can apply peace and joy, where we can apply spirit, right? Where we can, hopefully, these people who are in power positions pick up this message, this intention that we have of forgiveness, release, compassion, and what have you. Especially because we're not altogether sure that this is really a true event that's happened. We don't know for sure. I don't know for sure, but I do know that if it's happened, that we need to apply some real forgiveness and release it, and then apply compassion. Venus, on the other hand, is in a trine to Mars, and this is the feminine side. She's also opposing Jupiter, so growth and along our values is very powerful right now. She's also trining Saturn and sextiling Neptune. So she's in a position to really apply what are our common core values. What is it that we really love? How do we treat one another? Right? If we had an errant child, and some would say we have one in the White House, what would we do with that child? What would be loving thing to do with that child? Well, most people would tell you, and I even think it's in my lovely book, The Course in Miracles, which I'm going to hug to my chest here. The loving thing to do would be to understand that when people misbehave, or when there's a lot of this kind of crap going on in the outer world, it's a call for more love and attention and recognition, right? Now, we know our president happens to be a little narcissistic. And might that be as a result of his childhood where he didn't get enough love? In that respect, I can have compassion for this person. I can have compassion for this person. I can apply love to this person, to that child that didn't receive what he needed to be able to grow up and be a well-adjusted human being. So we can apply love and we can change the dynamic. And applying love in this case also means sometimes tough love, right? We have to come up and we have to say, this is not okay. This is not what we want. This is not what we value. And that comes down to the women. We had this conversation, I think it was yesterday morning, maybe the day before, when I was on my soapbox. And I was talking about that if we use our dollars, we have to use them in a way to support companies and so forth that are that are in alignment with our values. All right. There's one last thing that I noticed. And I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to bring it to your attention. If you notice, the companies that are coming under attack right now by the old guard politics, and I'm not saying that any of these companies are right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just saying, isn't it interesting that it is Google, Amazon, and Facebook, and Uber, and Yahoo, and YouTube that are all coming under fire by governmental agencies. And every one of them represents a new age. Every one of them represents the highest in their high. When they're expressing their highest, they are expressing where we have the potential to move. Have you noticed that the car manufacturers, the oil companies, the polluters, the coal firing plants are not under fire? Right? Have you noticed that? That the people who advocate are moving into a more environmentally friendly, and they're not perfect, so don't get me wrong here. They're not perfect, but those companies that are opening up pathways through industry that is innovative and new are under fire, while the steel mills and the farmers that continue, the big farms that farm with a lot of terrible chemicals and are engaged with GMOs, the oil companies, the car companies, and big pharma are not under fire. I find that fascinating, right? It's almost like his thing about making America great again includes stopping our forward momentum, right? Going back to a past. I don't know. I thought of that this morning. I'm like, where is the blowback on the oil companies that want to ruin our habitats, who are building these giant pipelines that are running through pristine lands, who are wanting to drill in our oceans in the most pristine and beautiful of environments, who are so blind that they don't understand that we're heating up our planet and that we need to take some decided action to heal that. And so I think that's an interesting thing for us to look at. And not that I think that the other companies need to be under fire. That isn't my intention with bringing that up to you. I just think it's interesting that those innovative things that represent to us a new way of being, new values, perhaps even, are under fire while the old guard isn't. I'm not sure what that all means yet. And again, not a value statement in that I'm not saying that everything Google, Amazon, and Facebook does is correct. I don't mean that at all. I just mean that they're the ones that are under fire, while the known polluters, the known environmental hazards are noticeably quiet. So interesting, huh? All right, everybody. Well, I'm done for today. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll be taking a look at the weekend. We'll be taking a deep dive into the new moon, and it'll be an interesting day. I hope you're all able to apply our themes of forgiveness, release, compassion, and love out there in your worlds today, and tap into that Capricorn energy that gives us the stamina and the ability to follow goals and ambitions. And I love you all. Take care. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.